Welcome to DjamgaMind, your ads-free audio intelligence platform. I'm Etienne Noumen. It is Friday, March 6th, 2026. Today we focus on the sovereign desktop. OpenAI's GPT-5.4 has surpassed human capability in OS navigation, marking the end of the LLM as a chatbot era and the beginning of the LLM as the user era. We are also examining the bipartisan end of anonymity bill in Congress and Netflix's strategic acquisition of Ben Affleck's filmmaking AI. No fluff, no ads. Let's dive in.
Welcome in, everyone. For today's session, we are officially stepping into the roles of elite AI strategy analysts for the DjamgaMind Deep Dive.
Nick to be here.
Yeah, we have a massive stack of AI business and development daily news from March 6th, 2026, sitting right in front of us.
Right.
And I am incredibly excited to get into this with you.
It's a really heavy news day, a lot to cover.
It really is. And today, we're tracking a very specific narrative theme across all of these sources. We are calling it the infiltration. Because, when you look at the sheer volume of announcements that dropped on this single day, they all point to one undeniable reality.
Right.
Artificial intelligence is penetrating our desktops, our workflows, our hardware, and even our private lives at just an astonishing speed.
It's a pervasive shift, honestly. We are moving so far beyond the era of chatbots simply, sitting quietly in a browser tab waiting for a prompt.
Exactly.
The developments we're looking at today represent AI integrating deeply into the very infrastructure of how you work, how industries operate, and how you interact with technology on a truly systemic level.
And our mission today is simple. We are going to cut through the noise of this massive AI news day. We want to extract the critical strategy insights you actually need to understand this infiltration completely without you feeling overwhelmed by the technical avalanche.
Which is easy to do with this much data.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So to do that, I've got a resident expert right here, the calm voice of reason, ready to help us synthesize all these rapid-fire developments. Are you ready to jump into the deep end of March 6th?
Always ready. Let's look at the data and see exactly where all these threads connect.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with what feels like the ultimate unlock, which is the biggest headline of the day. OpenAI's release of GPT 5.4.
Yeah, huge news.
Right. And they rolled this out just 2 days after making 5.3 instant the default chat model. Now, 5.4 is available as GPT 5.4 Thinking 4 plus Team and Pro users.
Yeah.
But I want to zero in on the data point from the source material that absolutely floored me.
The benchmark score.
Yes. They tested this new model on a benchmark called OSWorld-V. Now, what does a 75% score on that actually mean in plain English?
Well, that specific metric is, as you said, the ultimate unlock for enterprise value. When we talk about OSWorld-V, we aren't talking about a standardized test for text generation or writing poetry or anything like that.
Right.
We're talking about a benchmark that tests actual real-world desktop navigation. It evaluates a model acting as a human user.
So literally taking control of the mouse and keyboard.
Precisely. It looks at a screen, finds icons, navigates file structures, understands the visual hierarchy of an operating system, and executes tasks just like you would.
Why?
And the human baseline score for this benchmark is 72.4%. GPT 5.4 scored 75%. It didn't just edge us out, it decisively beat the human baseline. And in doing so, it actually doubled the score of the previous generation, GPT 5.2.
Doubled it. That is wild to think about.
Right. Beating a human at computer use means the model isn't just generating content anymore. It is operating the machinery of our digital lives. It pushes forward true agentic abilities.
It's essentially acting like a digital employee sitting at a desk.
Exactly.
But the release notes also highlight two massive technical upgrades, a 1 million token context window and a new setting called X-High reasoning effort. For a listener who might not be a developer, how do those two things change the game for this digital employee?
Let's break those down. A 1 million token context window basically means you could feed the model a stack of intricate enterprise documents as thick as a phone directory.
Okay.
And it can remember and reason it through every single page at once without losing the plot. It has total recall of a massive amount of information.
And the X-High reasoning effort.
That setting allows these agents to plan and execute across longer tasks that take hours to complete. It allocates more computational power to the thinking phase before the model takes action.
Got it.
So you aren't just getting a quick prompt and response. You can give it a complex, multi-step objective in the morning, and it spends hours navigating your desktop to complete it.
Which makes sense of the other benchmark they released, the
Yeah.
GDPval score. The sources show this is a knowledge work benchmark spanning 44 different jobs.
Yeah.
And GPT 5.4 won or matched against human professionals 83% of the time.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to look at the leap that represents. The previous model, 5.2, managed a 71% match rate. Now we're at 83%.
It's jumping fast.
Very fast. When you combine an 83% professional match rate with a context window of 1 million tokens and hours-long reasoning capabilities, you have an autonomous system. It can take a complex enterprise objective, break it down into microsteps, and execute it directly on a desktop environment without you needing to hold its hand.
You can see why there's so much swagger coming out of OpenAI with this launch. I mean, VP of Science Kevin Weil called it their best model ever.
Yeah.
And researcher Noam Brown made a huge statement saying, "We see no wall."
Yeah.
You really have to remember the context here, though.
Yeah.
OpenAI had been facing a remarkably rough week of public sentiment right before this dropped. They desperately needed a win.
And demonstrating that your frontier model is now demonstrably better at using a computer than the average human is a massive flex. Saying, "We see no wall" is a direct message to both competitors and enterprise clients.
Right.
It signals that the scaling laws driving AI improvement are still holding true, and that the infiltration of AI into everyday digital labor is only going to accelerate from here.
If the scaling laws hold true, and these models really are mastering our desktops at an 83% professional match rate,
Yeah.
what happens to the people currently sitting at those desks? This brings us to a fascinating and frankly sobering study published by Anthropic right on the heels of these capability leaps. They basically built an early warning system for AI job loss. But how are they actually measuring this? Are they just guessing based on what the AI can technically do?
No, Anthropic's approach here is highly analytical and grounded in real-world data. They developed a methodology using a metric they call observed exposure.
Observed exposure.
Right. They cross-reference the theoretical, meaning what AI is technically capable of automating based on its specs, against the practical, which is what people are actually out there using their model Claude to do right now.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's the difference between saying an AI could technically write this Python script and proving that millions of people are actively using AI to write Python scripts today.
Exactly.
So what did the data actually show? Who was most exposed?
The specifics are striking. Computer programmers top the exposure list with 75% task coverage.
75%.
That means 3/4 of a programmer's daily tasks are highly exposed to automation. Customer service representatives and data entry workers are right behind them at 67%.
Wow.
But on the flip side, roughly 1/3 of the U.S. workforce currently sits at 0 AI exposure.
0. Who falls into that category?
These are your deeply hands-on physical roles. Cooks, bartenders, lifeguards, construction workers, jobs where the digital infiltration hasn't crossed over into physical manipulation yet.
But wait, let me stop you there. Because if programmers and data entry workers are sitting at 75% and 67% exposure,
Yeah.
why aren't we seeing massive economy-wide layoffs? It feels like the unemployment rate should be skyrocketing in the tech sector, but it isn't.
What's fascinating here is the stealthy nature of this infiltration into the labor market. If you look at the macro data, you're right, there is no broad unemployment spike. Since ChatGPT launched in late 2022, we haven't seen mass layoffs directly attributed to AI wiping out whole corporate departments overnight. But when you look at the microdata, specifically at the entry level, the infiltration is painfully obvious.
Okay, how so?
The Anthropic study notes that hiring into those highly exposed fields for 22 to 25-year-olds has fallen by 14% in that exact same timeframe.
14%. That is a brutal drop for young professionals just trying to get their foot in the door.
It really is.
If you are a listener who manages a team, this study is basically telling you that the baseline of what you need to hire for just shifted overnight. You aren't firing your senior developer, but you suddenly don't need to hire 3 junior developers to do the grunt work because the AI is essentially doing that junior level coding.
Exactly. The bottom rung of the corporate ladder is being quietly removed. And Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei has been warning about this quite vocally. He's been very unsubtle about what is looming on the jobs front. The transition period is where the friction lies. The technology is simply outpacing the economic structures designed to support a human workforce. We've even seen several industry stock prices take a hit this year, immediately following new Claude releases, as the market digests the disruptive potential to traditional labor models.
It creates this profound feeling that the world is drastically underprepared. We're cheering for an AI that can navigate a desktop better than we can, while simultaneously realizing it means we might not need humans sitting at those desks at all.
It's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Oh.
But here's where it gets really interesting. We see the infiltration in enterprise, we see it in the labor market, but it's also happening in one of the most protective, legacy-driven, and unionized industries out there, which is Hollywood. According to our stack of news, Netflix just made a very rare acquisition for a streaming giant. They bought InterPositive, a stealth AI filmmaking startup founded back in 2022, and the founder, Affleck.
This is a critical development in shifting industry sentiment. Hollywood has largely spent the AI boom either completely hiding their use of the technology out of fear of public and guild backlash or actively railing against it.
Right.
But here you have an Oscar-winning industry leader, someone deeply embedded in the traditional Hollywood system, putting his reputation on the line. He's bringing his entire 16-person staff to Netflix and stepping in as a senior advisor for this tech.
But Affleck has been publicly critical of AI in the past, right?
Yeah.
I mean, on the Joe Rogan podcast just last month, he explicitly said he can't stand what AI writes.
He did.
So why is he suddenly championing an AI startup to the biggest streamer on the planet?
Because of how he is positioning the technology. InterPositive isn't doing what the writers and actors are terrified of. Affleck was explicit about this distinction. He noted that he was shocked by how much engineering talent was pouring into AI video generation, but pointed out there was no artistic, no filmmaking information whatsoever in those efforts.
Interesting.
He emphasized that InterPositive's tech is not generating video from nothing.
So it's not prompting a text box to spit out a fully finished movie scene. It's something else entirely.
Right. We can call this approach workflow AI, and it is so much more palatable to the entertainment industry than pure generative AI. When an AI generates a video from nothing, it threatens the very concept of a production.
It threatens the directors, the actors, the set designers.
Exactly. But InterPositive trains its models exclusively on a production's own existing footage.
So what does that actually look like in practice for a film crew?
It means the filmmakers shoot their movie normally with human actors on a physical set. Then, the AI handles the complex post-production bottlenecks. It learns from the existing filmed shots and the actual actors on that specific set to do things like relighting a scene after the fact, perfectly swapping out backgrounds, or fixing continuity errors that would otherwise require expensive reshoots.
It's an ultra-powerful tool for the workflow, rather than a replacement for human creativity.
Precisely.
That makes perfect sense as a Trojan horse strategy. You sell the studios on fixing an actor's continuity error seamlessly, and suddenly AI is an indispensable, totally accepted part of every single film set.
It's brilliant positioning.
It really is. Now, taking a step back, all of this GPT-5.4 acting as a computer user, Anthropic's deep dive into labor exposure, Ben Affleck's workflow startup, this was all in the news on a single day.
Just one day.
But to really grasp the scale of the infiltration, we have to look at the rapid-fire ecosystem updates that also dropped on March 6th. The footprint is expanding across both software and physical domains simultaneously, and the velocity is staggering.
It really is. Let's look at the software side first. Lightricks just released LTX-2.3, which is a major upgrade to their open-source video model. But the crucial detail in the source material is that they released LTX Desktop, a free local video editor built on that same engine.
Local being the operative word there. It's moving out of the cloud and directly onto your hard drive, running on your own machine. And speaking of deep software integration, Google just released an open-source CLI for their entire Workspace suite. Now, for the listener who isn't a software developer, what is a CLI, and why does it matter that Google built one for Docs and Sheets?
A CLI stands for Command Line Interface. For non-developers, think of it as a way to bypass clicking around menus and graphical interfaces, allowing you to type direct text-based commands straight to your computer's core.
Like the classic hacker screens in movies.
Exactly. It's the raw control panel. Google releasing this for Workspace is massive because it comes with over 40 built-in agent skills designed specifically for easy integration into agentic platforms.
So they're basically laying the standardized piping for AI agents to control your Google Docs, Sheets, and emails seamlessly.
Exactly. You are seeing the architecture for autonomous digital workers being formalized. Google CLI ensures that when an agent like GPT-5.4 decides it needs to update a Q3 spreadsheet and then email a summary to a team, the pathways to do so are open, standardized, and highly efficient.
But the infiltration isn't just limited to our software and our laptops. What about the physical world? Because on that same day, the news hit that McGrew, the former chief research officer at OpenAI, is raising $70 million at a $700 million valuation for his new startup, Arda.
And Arda is taking the intelligence we've been discussing and embedding it into the physical blue-collar world. They are building an AI platform designed to automate factory floors with robots.
So we aren't just talking about a digital agent navigating a spreadsheet anymore. We're talking about models understanding spatial reasoning, physical manipulation, and factory logistics.
If we synthesize this single day of news, the trajectory is incredibly clear. You have the core brain getting vastly smarter and capable of deep reasoning with GPT-5.4. You have the nervous system connecting that brain to enterprise software with Google CLI. You have the creative tools moving locally onto individual hard drives with Lightricks. And with Arda, you have the AI infiltrating the physical world of manufacturing and robotics. The ecosystem is maturing across every possible vector simultaneously.
Which brings us to the inevitable friction. You simply cannot have an infiltration of this magnitude into our personal and professional lives without triggering massive pushback.
Naturally.
And according to our sources, that is exactly what we're seeing on the privacy and government fronts. Let's start with the physical privacy issue. Meta is currently facing a lawsuit following a major investigation into their Ray-Ban AI smart glasses. What happened there?
The investigation revealed a severe flaw in how Meta was handling the multimodal data captured by these glasses. In order to train and refine the AI, human reviewers are often used to grade the model's performance.
Right, RLHF.
Exactly. But the sources show that overseas contractors who were hired to review the footage captured by these smart glasses were exposed to nudity and deeply private, identifiable user content.
It is the ultimate privacy nightmare. You think you're just wearing a cool pair of tech glasses to capture your day, and your most private domestic moments end up being reviewed by a contractor halfway across the world.
It's a huge breach of trust.
It perfectly highlights the hidden cost of training these multimodal AI models. They need real-world data to understand the physical world, and that data is literally our lives.
Yeah.
But that privacy concern leads us into a much larger, frankly more alarming piece of news regarding government pushback. Now, before we get into this, I want to be incredibly clear with you listening.
This is important.
As elite strategy analysts, our job is to analyze the board exactly as it is presented in our sources. We absolutely do not take political sides here. We are simply unpacking the claims and strategic implications presented in the material.
Strictly objective.
Yes. And our sources indicate that the U.S. Congress is currently pushing a bipartisan bill that would effectively abolish the right to be anonymous online.
It is a profound structural shift to the internet as we know it. The source material we're reviewing states explicitly that this bipartisan push to remove internet anonymity is, quote, ushering in an era of unprecedented mass surveillance and censorship.
The digital landscape we've known for decades, a place where you could operate under an alias, explore ideas privately, or remain untracked, is facing an existential legislative threat.
Right.
And from a strategic standpoint, it's fascinating that this is happening at the exact moment AI agents are becoming capable of perfectly navigating the web and gathering data at scale.
This raises an important question when we look at how the government is simultaneously interacting with the AI companies themselves. Because on the very same day this bill was making headlines, we learned that the Pentagon has officially labeled Anthropic a supply chain risk.
Which feels totally counterintuitive. Anthropic is widely known across the industry as the safety-first AI company.
Exactly.
They are the ones publishing the cautious studies about job displacement we discussed earlier. They emphasize alignment and model safety. And according to the news stack, they were reportedly in the middle of resuming deal talks with the Department of Defense. Why would the DoD suddenly turn on them?
The strategic implications here are incredibly dense. By labeling Anthropic a supply chain risk right in the middle of negotiations, the Pentagon is effectively freezing them out of lucrative government defense contracts. Anthropic plans to challenge this in court, but the label itself serves as a massive warning sign to the rest of the industry.
Is it basically a signal to other AI developers that safety might actually be a liability?
It certainly looks that way to the broader market.
Right.
If the company prioritizing safety, transparent alignment, and cautious deployment is deemed a security risk, it tells other tech firms that the government might actually view strict safety guardrails as a roadblock to their defense and intelligence goals.
Wow.
It creates a highly volatile environment for any tech firm trying to navigate government partnerships while maintaining ethical deployment guidelines.
It highlights a deep systemic contradiction. On one hand, the government is pushing for total visibility into the civilian digital landscape by targeting online anonymity. On the other hand, they are actively penalizing and isolating the AI developer, most focused on creating transparent, controlled, and aligned models. The friction here isn't just about the technology anymore. It is about absolute control of the digital domain.
That's the core of the infiltration narrative.
So what does this all mean for you? We started this deep dive looking at a single day of news, March 6th, 2026. And the narrative of the infiltration is undeniable. We've gone from AI being a neat parlor trick in a chat window to GPT-5.4 operating a desktop computer better than a human professional.
Right.
We've seen that infiltration silently stripping away entry-level jobs in the knowledge sector, while simultaneously being welcomed onto Hollywood movie sets as the ultimate workflow tool.
We are watching the underlying architecture of our daily lives being rewired in real time. Software agents are gaining the standardized skills to control our workspaces, new hardware companies are bringing autonomous AI to the factory floor, and the vast amount of data required to fuel all of this is challenging our fundamental assumptions about privacy and anonymity.
Exactly. And why should you care? Because this isn't just an update to a piece of software you use once a week. This is a fundamental rewiring of the global economy. It's a shift in how you will be hired or who you will hire. It changes how your digital tools will execute complex tasks on your behalf and how your privacy will be handled by both mega corporations and the government. The tools are getting infinitely smarter, the integration into our lives is getting deeper, and the stakes have literally never been higher.
I want to leave you with the final thought to consider based on everything we've synthesized from this stack of news today. If AI systems can now successfully autonomously navigate our desktops and workflows, if they are constantly training on our personal real-world footage and integrating seamlessly into our physical hardware, and if simultaneously governments are actively pushing to remove our ability to exist anonymously online, are we simply designing AI agents to be our perfect digital assistants? Or are we, piece by piece, inadvertently building the perfect automated architecture for an inescapable surveillance state?
That is a heavy but vital question to mull over as these technologies continue to scale. Thank you for joining us as we unpack the immense complexities of this shift. We hope this DjamgaMind deep dive gave you the strategic clarity you need to navigate the infiltration. Keep your eyes open, stay curious, and we will see you next time.
That concludes our rundown for March 6th. The signal for today is total integration. Whether it's the AI integrating into your desktop, Ben Affleck integrating AI into film, or the government integrating your ID into the web, the external AI era is over. The internal AI era has begun. If you're listening on AI Unraveled, thank you to our sponsors AIRIA and DjamgaMind. If you want this briefing without the interruptions, join our ads-free community at the link below. If you're on the DjamgaMind feed, thank you for supporting independent ad-free intelligence. I'm Etienne Noumen. Until tomorrow, keep unraveling the future.